Well, welcome back. Carolyn A. Brent joins us this morning. You know, every month we get a chance to talk to Carolyn. She is the author of The Caregiver's Companion, Caring for Your Loved One Medically, Financially, and Emotionally. And we're going chapter by chapter with Carolyn. Good morning. How are you, my friend?
Good morning. Good to see both of you. Hi, Ronnie.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Great.
Well, we are glad to have you back. Last month, we started talking about this. We didn't get a chance to finish this chapter and the questions, and it's very important, Carolyn, that we continue this with our viewers. We were talking about the major documents needed when preparing for end of life, and the care planning and the foundational estate planning, very important. Where do you want to start with? Medical directive, the healthcare power of attorney? Where do you want to start?
Where I'd like to start is just to reiterate, a lot of people are afraid of end of life and they don't want to talk about it. And it's really, really, really simple. If you look at it as simple that you need a medical directive for just in case something happens to you and you're at the hospital, you don't want the state where you live to make end of life choices. So that's what a medical directive is for, to direct someone that you trust with your life to make your end of life choices for you. You want a power of attorney. And I always share with folks to get a durable power of attorney. That means to endure once a person becomes incapable of making decisions for him or herself. You want that power of attorney to endure when that person can't make any decisions for themselves. Also, you want a will or trust. And a will is what your living will is. What do you want your family to have, or what you want for yourself? And a trust is a little bit more complicated. And I highly recommend that you go to a trust attorney that only specializes in doing trust and wills. And the reason why I say that, if you go to a real estate attorney, they could actually do an end of life for you, but it may not have all the things that you may not think of, or him or her may not think of. So I highly recommend go to a trust attorney, an end of life attorney, so they could literally help you get your paperwork. The last thing is a sibling contract. That's not necessary if you don't have siblings, but if you do, like in my case, Carolyn Rosenblatt in California told me about a sibling contract. I had no idea what that was. And that's really to help on the back end of caregiving, just in case the family says, well, Carolyn didn't let me see Dad for 5 years. When you have that sibling contract, that's going to help protect the caregiver and their loved one at the end. It's not complicated to do. It's something that you could do on your own, get it notarized, or you could go to an attorney and ask attorney to write one up for you. But you could do it on your own, as long as all of your family members sign it that they've received their copy.
How often should they update their will or their trust? Do they ever update a trust? I know people update wills, but do they update trusts?
Oh, you have to do that, especially if you get remarried, especially if, some families are dysfunctional. Let's face it, everyone's not like the Leave It to Beaver Cleaver family. So if your family has issues and you had, let's say, an executor that you trust, like maybe 10 years ago, and that person changed in a lot of nefarious ways, you want to change your end of life and your trust immediately. So anytime there's a change, you need to pick up the phone, call your attorney, and let them know that you have changes to your trust. I've changed my trust at least 6 times. Wow. And that's absolutely something I never thought about, but my life it continuously changing and evolving around just different, entities in my life. And then I learned a lot from my father. This is the key. I lost all of the legal documents. I had no idea where they were. When Dad and I did it, I was in my 30s, and I moved many times in my 30s, and I never thought about putting it in a safe place like a bank vault, or back then in those days, they didn't have internet, so I couldn't put it in a cloud or try to save it someplace. So I always share, you do your end of life wishes, make sure you could get your hands on it. That's so important. And what I do for me, because I am a single person, I have all of my medical IDs and things in my pocketbook for just in case something happens to me. They'll know that she's allergic to penicillin or things like that. We have to safeguard our own end of life. And I always say, why wait? And one other thing, Ronnie and Carol, that I really want to stress, this body of work is in the Library of Congress. So that goes to show you, I'm not an attorney, but the attorneys vetted this information, and I interviewed a end-of-life attorney, an estate planning attorney, that actually helped to culminate this information on the legal. So I share with folks, they could go to their local library, check it out, or you could pay an attorney a minimum of $500 to give you the same information that I'm giving you, basically on television.
Well, we have tons more questions, Carolyn, so stay with us, friends. We'll be right back.